Hi, I'm David Dang, and today we're going to talk about key differences between desktop and mobile testing. As you get into mobile testing, you will realize that there are feature based within mobile that you do not have on desktop. So we're going to talk about those differences.
The first thing you want to know about testing on mobile is that you really have to understand the different application that can be served on a mobile device. So the first thing is, if you are testing a mobile website, certain feature on mobile website are available on mobile but are not available on desktop. So mobile website is nothing more than opening either Safari or Chrome or some other mobile browser and accessing your web application through a mobile device. And the next one is what we call native app. Native apps are apps that are native to the OS. So for example, if I'm a developer and I code up a iOS app, that app only work on iOS device. If I'm a Android developer, I code up an Android device, an Android app, and that app is only available on Android. Again, even though the app name might be the same, the code base behind is not the same between iOS and Android. And then of course, you have the hybrid app. The hybrid app is basically still an app. It's it's in the App Store or the Play Store, right? However, the app is used as a container. Inside that container, that app container, is still web information. Now, why does company use hybrid app? Because what they can do is they can push out an app a lot quicker, because the web content is basically embedded inside the container. Another reason is they don't want to create so-called separate code base between iOS and Android. So what they do is they create the container in iOS or Android, but they put the information, the HTML inside that container so that they have single code base. Now, what are the major key differences, right? Key differences in mobile testing is, of course, screen size. So if you are testing on a website, right, and the website, a mobile website, but the mobile website is not responsive, you really have to check to make sure the screen size does not affect how that application look, how that website looks. All right, so screen size is a big one. Another one is, of course, network connection. Most people who test on desktop, they are on their Wi-Fi network, right, or their landline. So the connection speed typically is pretty fast. However, if you're testing an app on mobile, you have to consider into the network speed. So if you're on a 2G network, does your application affected by that network speed? You really want to check that out. Also, of course, you have landscape and portrait mode. Uh, in desktop testing, you really never had to turn your screen around, right? That just doesn't make sense whatsoever. However, on mobile, you do need to check to make sure that landscape and portrait mode does not somehow affect the ability or the functionality of your application. And then, of course, you have the interaction aspect of it, the swiping from pages to pages, okay? The pinch and zoom, that's a huge difference, right? Because I can actually zoom in to a certain area. Like, for example, if I'm working with a application that have an embedded map inside there, I have to be able to zoom in to see exact location of where I'm at. And then voice to text, right? So a lot of the time now, right, we're able to say, you know what, I want to send out a text, or I want to type in a search. You do not have to actually punch in, right, the information. You can actually just, click the microphone and do voice to text. That's a feature that typically you do not have on desktop. And then, of course, the built-in camera. Um, a lot of the native app that you have will actually incorporate this feature. For example, if you're on your banking app, now you can actually deposit a check by just taking a picture of this check. Another example of it is there's a lot of app out there that basically do barcode scanning. So what you can do is you can use your camera to actually access the barcode And what it does is, for example, for inventory management or any of that stuff, it uses that feature. And again, that uses the camera feature. That's unique to mobile. It's not unique to desktop. All right. Accelerometer. Your device might be able to, you can actually flick the device, right? So my kids love to play the bowling game, and it flicks my iPhone, and it will actually roll the ball down. If you have that feature in your native app, you want to make sure you have a test for that. Of course, location-based. Location-based is it knows where your device is. And this is actually a really important feature in a lot of the app that are out there. So for example, if I have an e-commerce app and I send out daily special, it uses the location to know exactly where the user or the potential customers is. And what they do is they will actually set the special out based on the location. So if I'm in Florida, right, and it senses the device is in Florida, it will send out, like, for example, swimwear, sandals, short. If it senses that you are in Alaska, it will send out jackets, boots, and stuff like that. So location-based is another aspect of mobile that's very unique. Interruption, right? So what we mean by interruption, for example, if I'm actually doing some stuff, right, it actually interrupts me if there's a phone call coming in. That's also a very unique feature of mobile. And then, of course, on-off network. What happens if I'm in the middle of doing a bank transfer and I'm in the driveway doing that, and then I walk into my house? It switched from cellular network into Wi-Fi network. How does that affect my application? So should you test all the mobile feature, right? Of course, you'd have to test the functionality of the app, right? So if you have a mobile web app or a native app or a hybrid app, you have to make sure that app works correctly, right? However, should you test all the other stuff that we talk about that are mobile specific? Well, it depends on the application you're testing. So for example, if you're testing a mobile website, you really don't have something like an accelerometer, right? You really don't have something like a camera feature base. So in those, you do not have to worry about those aspects that are related to mobile web. Okay, if you are testing a native app, there's a good chance that it will use location. It might use your camera. It might use your accelerometer to test to use those mobile features. So in those cases, you need to understand your app and test to that aspect of it. Now for hybrid app, it's kind of in between, because a hybrid app can have mobile feature in places certain part, but web on certain part. So will it have camera base? Maybe. All right. So you have to really understand what mobile feature your application has or use, and test to those. Does your app use any of the mobile feature? We talk about that. Is your app impacted by network speed? That's a huge one, right? So if I have a mobile app, right, that does a lot of data processing, you will want to test about network speed. Because again, if I'm out there, right, in a 2G network, and it does a lot of processing through the server and stuff like that, your 2G network might slow it down or might even crash the application in itself. All right. So what type of testing are you want to focus on? Again, there's a lot of the usability, functionality, performance, installation, interface, right? Pinpoint the area that you need the testing most. And again, at a minimum, you want to make sure the functionality work, but in addition to that, right, you want to make sure the feature base of mobile. Thank you so much for viewing this video blog. I hope you enjoy it, and we will speak again next time.